coast to coast, it's your hosts, the Lombardi Leap and Mersey FB. This is Beyond the Frozen Tundra.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, the Lombardi Leap, here with the one and only Mersey FB. Let's talk some Packers football. Specifically, we're doing a Thursday night game. Coming off of a short week here, Packers playing at home again against the Washington Commanders.
Yeah, I'm excited for in this game. It's going to be a good test, the second good test of the defense coming into the season.
Yeah, definitely off of a short week. Hopefully pulling out. As we're recording this, the Lions play on Sunday, so we're hoping to come off a win there. Have another game at Lambeau Field. This is kind of a really interesting team, like two teams facing up here, because it's really a tale of like two different organizations and how they built their roster, you know? Like the Packers, they're the youngest team at just under 26 years old. That's the average age. And then the Commanders are actually the oldest team in the NFL at just over 28 years old. That's their average.
Yeah, that's true. And when you see how the Commanders have built that roster, when you look into like their depth chart and you see just groups and players that you recognize being like, oh, he's on this team now. And then it's like when the Commanders, when you look through their roster, it's like a lot of, oh, that's where this player is now.
Yeah, they definitely, I know they did a couple trades. I think the biggest one they did was obviously try to secure their offensive line with Lambeau Tunsil, traded him from the Texans. They have Zach Ertz on offense, tight end.
They got Von Miller.
Oh, that's right. They do have Von Miller. They traded for Deebo Samuel as well. And then there's obviously Bobby Wagner there.
They did the in-season trade last year for Marshawn Lattimore.
Can't forget Marshawn Lattimore too. Mm-hmm. So they're like, it's really interesting to see how like the Packers. Obviously, we just talked about prior to this episode or 2 episodes ago, episode 2, the Micah Parsons trade. That was like the big thing for the Packers to do. But primarily, a lot of the guys who they've picked up are just either in the prime of their career or entering the prime of their career. I'm thinking of like Nate Hobbs, Aaron Banks, Xavier McKinney, Josh Jacobs. Like those are very much guys on the younger side. Whereas that's the complete opposite of what the Commanders have done. And they've got a lot of guys who you might say are in the twilight of their career. You think that's fair to say?
Yeah, I would say their best playing days are behind them, but they still have some gas left in the tank.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it seems like where they went a little bit younger, because I know obviously they got rid of a lot of their draft picks by trading for Marshawn Lattimore, trading for Deebo Samuel, trading for Lambeau Tunsil.
The Tunsil trade was expensive, I believe.
The Tunsil trade was expensive. I know they got a little bit of the draft capital back by trading away. Who was their running back?
Oh, Brian Robinson Jr.
Yeah, so they traded away Brian Robinson Jr., but primarily like their young picks are really at like, would you say like 3 positions? That's their youngest?
I would say they've emphasized youth at quarterback, offensive line, and corner is really how they have the most youth. Or not corner, just secondary.
Yeah, secondary in general. Because, I mean, Will Harris, I want to say he's like, yeah, Will Harris is like 29.
He's older. But when you have rookie Trey Amos and then sophomores Mikey Sanders-Still and Quan Martin, you've invested some capital into those players. And then Josh Connerly on the offensive line. And Jaden Daniels, of course. Have to mention him. These both young players.
So how do you think he stacks up like compared to like Jordan Love? I mean,
Jaden?
Yeah.
I would say Jaden is definitely the better running quarterback. And he processes faster than Jordan does coming into the league. But they both have great pocket presence and a similar arm. I would say that Jordan's is a little stronger, but Jaden is more firm in his base when he throws and has better footwork. You don't get many of the like silly body moments where Jordan's like jumping and then jumping to his right and then throwing all the way to his left. So you don't get many of those with Jaden.
Yeah, I'd definitely say that Jaden Daniels is less risk adverse, whereas Jordan Love has that gunslinger mentality in him where he will absolutely just sling it down the field and let his wide receiver do some work for him. Do you think that we could be seeing potentially, like we saw this with CJ Stroud, especially his sophomore year, the sophomore slump for Jaden Daniels?
I'm not too sure about that because Jaden's a better running quarterback than CJ is, and he can get out of trouble a lot better. Also, they've kind of built the offense to Jaden's strength in Washington. There was an article that came out, I think I remember seeing something about this, that said that CJ Stroud, prior to his offensive coordinator being fired, wasn't allowed to make changes in the call or protection. It was one of those two things, and I believe that severely limited him, and that was led to his like sophomore slump.
And it's been, I mean, I don't think they lost anybody coaching staff wise for the Commanders. I'm pretty sure that's all.
No, they still have Cliff Kingsbury as OC.
Okay, so yeah, that's all the same there. Okay, so Cliff Kingsbury still the OC there. That's the same. So that'll be good for him.
I think this offense is pretty high powered. It's going to be kind of just keeping Jaden in the pocket and praying that we can contain Terry McLaurin.
Yeah. I mean, Terry McLaurin is obviously a threat. I know one of the things that I don't think Jeff Hafley gets enough credit for is his ability to scheme up containment procedures for these more mobile quarterbacks. Because you look at how many mobile quarterbacks that we had last year. We had we dealt with a lot of mobile quarterbacks last year, and they were all pretty much contained quite easily. So Jeff Hafley does have the experience there, and I know besides Scary Terry, there is the.
I'm not super worried about Debo.
Yeah,
I'm not.
Me neither.
I'm not super worried about Debo Samuel's yards after catch ability anymore.
Even though us Packers fans might have some PTSD there.
That was mostly Raheem Mostert.
True.
That was doing that to us.
There was definitely some Raheem Mostert. Yeah, some Raheem Mostert moments. And then, like, look at. I'm really not afraid of their running back room. Like, I know in the past the Packers have struggled against the run. Last year, I felt like it improved, and I think the metrics say it did improve as well. I mean, like, their running back room is Austin Eckler.
Was he on the Chargers team that played us in 2023?
Yes.
He was.
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay. So in that case, I believe we held him pretty well in that game. If my memory serves me correctly. So
he didn't. Yeah, he's been with Washington since 2024. So 2023 was his last year. Yeah, we did. He was contained, and that was with Joe Barry. So.
That was with Joe Barry. So now with Jeff Hafley, I'm not as concerned for their running back room. It depends on if Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt is as dynamic as they say and can make a lot out of nothing. So,
and I just don't have that much faith in a 7th round draft pick. I know that there's obviously the fantasy hype and a lot of the Twitter hype around him, but I mean, right now he's listed as he's running back 4 on their depth chart.
Enough fantasy hype to make you pick him up in our fantasy league.
That is true. Yeah. I didn't really lose anybody. So I was like, you know what? I'd rather stash him and see what happens than go from there. But I believe that Rodriguez is their number 2 running back, and he's pretty dynamic in and of himself, like in his ability to make people miss. Whereas Eckler's just kind of a pass catching back. So I mean, I don't know. I look at this room, it doesn't move me. I'm not afraid of it. I don't really think that it's something that you necessarily
I
have to
think
set aside your game plan for, you know?
we could get a ton of production in the interior from our defense this game. I think that this will be another good test to see how well. Like, this will be a big game for Devontae Wyatt.
You think so? Okay.
I think so.
Yeah, especially in the run game, just to kind of contain the pocket. I think, obviously, when you have Micah Parsons now, still can't believe we're talking about this and Micah Parsons. It's gonna. I'm a big grin every single time I mention this. It's probably gonna happen for the rest of the year.
I've been walking around with a Packers hat on these past couple of days. Biggest smile on my face.
Just Micah Parsons. That's it. That's all I gotta say. I'm actually interested to see, because I know they tried to it. They've obviously made steps to improve their offensive line. They drafted Josh Connolly Jr. and they brought in Laramie Tunsil. My thing is that obviously the Houston Texans let Laramie Tunsil go for a reason.
I think it was like a lead. It might have been a locker room thing, like a leadership. They wanted him to be more of a leader in the offensive line room, and he just wasn't doing it. So
if that's the case,
that's what I remember reading about, because that was what was taking Twitter by storm when that trade happened.
Really?
And then also going to Josh Connerly, he is more of a finesse tackle.
Okay.
Like he's good more with like speed rushers who try and win with technique and everything. So it's going to be interesting to see him go up against like Rashawn Gary and Lucas Van Ness when they who mostly try to run right through you. Because I believe Josh Connerly, JTT and Jack Sawyer gave him some trouble when they played against each other in college.
Yes, they did. And he was drafted 29th overall, so he did fall a little bit there.
No, he was on the rise in the draft process, because I remember hearing him. It was he's a second round prospect. He just kept going up and up and up and up. So he did have quite the rise, but it's going to be interesting to see if he can hold up to it.
Was he the one that was injured, or was that the?
No, that was Josh Simmons.
Josh Simmons. That's who I'm mixing it up with. Josh Simmons. That's the one. I was mixing him up with Josh Simmons. Now we get to. I think we should address the elephant in the room here, especially on the defensive side of the ball for the Commanders. Obviously, the Packers did not take a cornerback in this draft, and a lot of people got upset at the fact that we passed on Trey Amos.
I wasn't the biggest fan of his in the pre-draft process. Like, I saw it, I just wasn't there.
I was going to say, I think that you and I are pretty much on the same page as when it comes to Trey Amos. I wasn't the biggest fan either. I wasn't the biggest fan specifically in the first. I thought that would have been a massive overdraft.
Yeah. I would have been okay with it if it was in the second. I see the vision with him. He was, I believe he was the benefactor of very good defensive line production at Ole Miss.
Yeah.
And
Princely Umamami and a couple other guys in there.
Princely Umami Allen.
Umami Allen, there you go. Yeah. I'm going to make it my
Nolan.
goal. I'm going to make it my goal to butcher at least one name every single podcast.
Yeah, he was like Princely Umami Allen, Walter Nolan, JJ Pegues, and Jared Ivey were the guys who were playing on that defensive line. So they were wreaking havoc in order for Trey Amos to kind of just sit in his zone, get his read, because he didn't have the greatest agility testing. And you could see that on tape when he had to like flip and run in the short area quickness.
Which let Matthew Golden eat again.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's Marshawn Lattimore, obviously opposite of Trey Amos.
who I think can still hold up in coverage, but it's going to be, can he keep up with these younger guys?
Yeah. Can he stay healthy? Because I mean, he's
That is
just as
true.
injured. He's just as injured as Jair Alexander is most of the time. I know. Now, granted, it's majority of it's soft tissue injuries, but still, like there's that concern there. And then Mike Sandstrill, he's in the slot. I think he's solid.
He's a great corner. I love Mikey Sandstrill. They played him mostly outside last year.
Did they really?
They did.
I thought I saw him in the slot more often than
I think he might go back into the slot, but they did try and play him outside.
Which I think he's more comfortable there in the slot. He's one of those converted wide receivers at Michigan.
He like him. Pretty much won them a national championship.
Yes. Yeah. So, yeah, I was a big Sandstrill fan coming out, even though like we didn't need any more slots. I still would have liked him. And then I think that their linebackers are, I guess what you call old but gold.
I would call Frankie Louvu dynamic and Bobby Wagner great against the run. I don't think Bobby has his same coverage ability anymore.
No.
But he can still come downhill like the best of them. And then Frankie Louvu can just be anywhere at any time. So it's gonna be interesting to see what Tucker Kraft can get up to this game.
Mm-hmm.
And then on their defensive line, if we can stop Daron Payne from getting into the backfield, we've got it. We're pretty good. Because I'm not scared of Dorrance Armstrong due to Karais, Javonte John Baptiste, or Jacob Martin. Like Von Miller, sure, but he's 35 this season? And he's coming off something, right? Like he wasn't healthy to the end of last year.
No. He's been kind of banged up.
Or just like he went back to Buffalo, right? He was at Buffalo last year?
He was at Buffalo last year.
Mm-hmm. He was splitting time between like Rousseau and all the other guys there. So he's more of like the situational pass rusher now. But I'm still not like as afraid of him as I would be 4 or 5 years ago. And it's like, this is the thing earlier in the show when we said like Commanders have leaned heavily into getting whatever they can out of these older guys, at which point that strategy is going to have to change or it's going to get expensive and you're just getting expensive rental cars pretty much for a year.
And they do have kind of a lot of guys who are like last chance you type of people, you know?
Yeah. Noah Igbenogany is backup slot corner too.
Yep. I mean, Javon Kinlaw was a 14th overall pick by the Niners. Spent last year with the Jets. Yeah.
So he hasn't been, he's not as old as you would think, but it's still like, this has got to be one of his last chances, because if he couldn't make it with Bob Saleh coaching him again.
That is true, because, he was a part of that defense there. And then obviously, like, Daron Payne, he's still young.
He's great.
Like,
I love Daron Payne. He's
solid.
20, turning 28, 29.
He's 28, turning 29, I believe. So that's solid. And then, so they get prime their career type of guys there. And then, like, Dietrich Weiss Jr., he is interesting. I'm kind of surprised he's the one starting. Like, he's another one of those guys who's older. He's been with the Patriots the last 7 years.
Yes, right. I remember.
Just signed there. He's 31.
Mm-hmm.
So you have Von Miller, who's old. You have
Dorrance Armstrong's getting up there too. Like he can't be young.
Dorrance Armstrong Jr. is 28, and he was with the Cowboys up until 2023.
I remember him most of the time with the Cowboys.
He's 28. Javon Kinlaw is 28, turning 29. Obviously, we have Darren Payne. And then, it's a lot of older guys there. And I know they drafted Newton last year. I'm not too sure about how his development's gone. It doesn't seem like it's gone too well.
Was drafted with an injury. And then so he had to rehab a bit. And his finally coming into his own. I think that's why they were okay with letting go of Jonathan Allen. And they were like, Johnny Newton will take this step. So I think that's what they're counting on.
And he had a pretty decent preseason as well. So there's some hope there that he could step in for them. And I know we talked about Frankie Louvu just a little bit before. So last year, I wanted to point this out. Last year, his coverage grade, he was average in coverage, 61.8. So that's an average coverage grade.
I would say it's an average to above average coverage grade for what you get with linebackers nowadays.
Yeah. I mean, he was primarily, it seems like his bread and butter is as a pass rusher and he's a solid run defender. Yeah.
He's kind of like the sixth rusher. Like he'll just head downhill more often than not.
Definitely could be a Tucker Kraft, maybe a Luke Musgrave game.
I think the best word to describe Frankie Louvu is just kamikaze.
Yeah, that's actually pretty good. He just goes bonsai right into it.
He's just like, he's see ball, get ball. No, you live and die with him. But like that Eagles game in the playoffs when he jumped over the line of scrimmage 3 times before the ball was snapped.
Oh yeah, that's right. I almost forgot
and the
about
refs
that.
were like, if you do this one more time, you're getting ejected.
That was funny.
At the goal line, it was really funny. But
that's such a dumb rule too, but like I get it at the same time. And this Sunday they play the Giants. I don't expect that to be that difficult of a game, unlike our game versus the Lions. Just because of where the Giants are at in their phase of rebuilding.
Yeah, they're a little bit behind the Commanders in terms of rebuilding. Yeah,
I know Russell Wilson's their starting quarterback, so I expect them to handle that game pretty well. They're on the off chance that it is close because there's rust. I mean, I still think this is going to be one of those games where I think that Jaden Daniels is going to have to play the whole game. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So we're assuming we both teams go into this game 1-0.
1-0, yeah. I do think that that's a fair thing there, is to say that both these teams are going in. I struggle with, and we've talked about, I won't rehash this, but with Detroit, I think that new coordinators, and then the rookie interior offensive line, I think that's going to help us build our confidence, and I think that's going to translate and carry over. I think Matthew Golden's going to carry us over
momentum from the Detroit game into this game. Yeah, and then hopefully our corner week 2, our corner group will be healthier, and then so we'll see like Hobbs get some good action against Terry and Debo. Although I'd almost prefer Carrington Valentine to shadow Terry all game.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that if I'm going to put somebody on Terry, it's going to be Carrington Valentine. Maybe, I mean, Keyshawn Nixon says he wants to be CB1.
He's got to show that he can play CB1. He's got to show that he can cover.
I don't know. I mean, it's going to help, like, having the safeties. I mean, we have the best safety in the game. And I don't care who else, what Lions fan is out there. Xavier McKinney is arguably the best safety in football. And that's only going to help our CB room.
I mean, the people who love Kyle Hamilton might disagree with you, but
I know, like, Kyle Hamilton, he's a unicorn. I get that. But in terms of intelligence and just the ability to erase portions of the field, people stop throwing when Xavier McKinney's in that area. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And then we're going to be able to generate pressure from somewhere. If it's not Micah or Rashawn, then Devontae Wyatt will get involved, or Carl Brooks. One of these guys will get in there in the backfield and force Jaden off off a read, maybe try and scramble, like just kind of make them uncomfortable all game. That's going to be how the game is decided, I think, is how well our defensive line plays. Because if we can't get anywhere close to Jaden, or he's just scrambling all over us, then I think it's going to get ugly quickly. But I do believe that our offense can more than keep us in it. If we can hold Jaden in, and then like Xavier McKinney can shut down a part of the field, hopefully where Terry is, I think we can do it, and our offense will have the firepower to keep us in and win the game. So, because I think like Jordan Love's gonna maybe hit his career high this game.
Yeah, I'm not scared of their defense.
No, I'm not scared of their defense at all.
It's
just
really
hopefully
not.
Our offense can keep up. If our defense, like if we just decide we can't stop Jaden.
Yeah, that's probably going to be the question of the day is can we, I mean, I would even say like, you're not going to stop Jaden. You know what I mean?
No.
I think it's about, can you contain him? Like, don't let him get off running. Don't let those big plays, those big foot plays happen. I think, like you said earlier, if you can keep him in the pocket, force him to throw, he's going to make a mistake.
Oh, for sure.
Or I should say this, he's going to have to make a mistake because he's going to have to fight for his team.
Mm-hmm.
And when, like, there are quarterbacks that play within the realm, and people are going to think I'm saying that Jaden Daniels is a system quarterback. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is that Jaden Daniels is one of those quarterbacks that is very risk averse. He doesn't take risks because he can get out of trouble with his legs. So when you take a quarterback like that, you restrict them to the pocket, they tend to try to maybe take risks that they don't normally make, which this is the complete opposite of Jordan Love.
You in his past, for Jaden's past, you've seen him make risky throws at Arizona State and have it not end up that well. And then when he transferred to LSU, he'd make the same kind of risky throws, but it was Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas on the other side, like receiving those throws, and it would always work out. So he's just kind of found the middle ground between those two now in the league.
Yeah, very true. And I think what's going to be interesting too, I think a big point of emphasis here, like you said, is can our CB room hold up?
Yeah, this is a tougher matchup for them than Detroit, in my opinion.
Like Detroit's bigger. You have Amon-Ra St. Brown, but like this one, like Terry McLaurin, he's a good wide receiver.
She's a better all-around wide receiver than Amon-Ra, in my opinion.
Definitely. And like Zach Ertz is still Zach Ertz, but
yeah, that's another point, is how well can Quay like cover Zach Ertz?
Edgerrin Cooper.
Because you'd assume you'd send Edgerrin Cooper after like Jaden or the running back maybe. So it's gonna be how well can Quay cover Zach Ertz or whatever running back is running a route.
Yeah, I mean that's going to be interesting to see if they send Quay or if they send Cooper. Who do they send in coverage? I think Cooper is who I would trust in coverage more.
Yeah, Cooper's a better coverage backer, but he's also a better blitzer than Quay.
I'm hoping that we don't have to use a linebacker blitz as much, you know?
That's true.
With Gary and Micah Parsons coming off the edge.
But instead of getting to the quarterback in 2 seconds, what if we got to him in 1.5?
Then he's definitely not running anywhere. And like that's the thing.
Definitely not running anywhere.
I do think that's a fair point. I do think that's a fair point to make, especially like you have a guy like Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons is, I think, like the second or third fastest guy on our roster. That's not a joke.
Bo Melton's the fastest of 4.36. I think Micah's 4.39.
Okay, so technically he would be like what, the third fastest, because Matthew Golden did technically run a 4.29.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
So if Micah Parsons is the third fastest guy and he's your defensive end, like I trust that. Like I trust him to be able to contain.
I was thinking just like the defense itself.
Yeah, defense easily. Yeah, defensively, easily there. So I trust.
What did Jaden run in the 40, or did he not do it?
I don't. Most quarterbacks just show up now at the combine.
Yeah, I think he was one of the ones who didn't do field drills.
Yeah, Jaden, he didn't run a 40 time. He didn't run a 40 time at his pro day either. So he didn't run at the combine. He didn't run his pro day. He just did throws, which I get it. Like he's a quarterback, and you know he's a mobile quarterback too as well. He doesn't need a 40 time. He doesn't need a 40 time.
Would you say that having that both of these teams are better than the previous years?
I would say the Packers are, yes. I would say the Commanders, I don't know. I would have to wait and see.
I would say that the Commanders have largely stayed the same. Like they haven't lost anybody. They haven't added, or they haven't lost anybody. They made a couple major additions, but it's going to see how it shakes out. It's a lot of we'll see with the Commanders.
Yeah, I would say defensively, I think they're going to be worse.
That's true because I don't know how they're getting to the quarterback.
And the one person that's undefeated is Father Time. And like we said, a lot of these guys are very much on the wrong side, entering the wrong side of 30, or they're right there. And once
they're entering the wrong side of like 32, not even 30. It's way worse.
It's definitely over the hill in football terms. And then, even Marshawn Lattimore just turned 29 in May.
He's only 29?
I know. He doesn't feel like it.
Oh. Huh.
Yeah. He's only 29.
Only 29. Wow.
He's only 29 for a corner who's had quite a bit of
several hamstring issues, right?
Yeah, soft tissue injuries.
Or like hamstring/knee issues, yeah.
Thank goodness we're not playing at FedEx Field in Washington. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
That place is cursed.
So do you think that it's even better to not that we're coming off a short week and staying in Lambeau, where we'll have like turnovers, or maybe some of our guys will get a little fatigued quickly, or the game plan might not be all theirs? Do you think that those mistakes will start to creep in the game, or do you think we're going to have a good way of avoiding them?
I think that if the Packers want to prove to themselves that they are a Super Bowl team, then they need to come out swinging, and they need to come out swinging every single game. I know we saw it in the Jets game in preseason. We saw it a little bit into the Colts game.
Who were we swinging at the Jets game? Because it was definitely not the Jets.
It was ourselves.
Yeah,
punching ourselves.
In the foot repeatedly.
Punching ourselves in the face and shooting ourselves in the foot. Yeah, the Jets game. And I'm hoping that the second half of the Colts game seemed to carry into the Seattle Seahawks preseason game. And I do believe that's going to carry over into the Lions game. And then I think you'll see a domino effect here. I don't think it's very much unreasonable here that the Packers should go at least 3-1 before the bye week.
That's what I was going to say. If you win the Commanders game, I think you head into if you win the Lions game and then you win the Commanders game, you head into the bye week undefeated.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think there should be a question of whether or not, because to me, that to me shows that this team is ready to is taking things seriously. They're focusing on, as Matt LaFleur likes to hammer, the details. Like they're focused on the details. I mean, Jeff Hafley hammers that home too. Got to focus on the details. Guys got to focus on the details. And that is really going to be evident here moving forward. I mean, what would you say are your kind of biggest worries here? for the Packers as we kind of as we come off this short week?
As we come off the short week, I think it's going to be the health of a few key guys. I think that's my biggest concern, is if Hobbs, Reed, like Elton, if they're good to go.
Reed's definitely an interesting one. I know that today he did not participate in practice.
Did not participate, but that was part of the plan.
Mm-hmm.
He said that he has a plan. That's part of his rehab plan, and then he'll practice throughout, like today or tomorrow. What am I saying tomorrow? That he's going to practice the next couple days.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, he'll practice the next couple of days, and I know Hobbs is going to be. I'm probably most worried about Hobbs here moving forward, just because he does have that injury history. Part of that reason he has an injury history is because of the way he plays, but that is
quite
also
physical.
Yeah, that's also why they brought him in. They want these physical corners.
Didn't he almost like kill Wicks in a practice?
Yes, he did. And it was after that he's like, "Oh, I got to get surgery." And then they held him out the rest of preseason. And like I know I rag on Keyshawn Nixon for his coverage.
He has his moments in coverage.
He has his moments, but I will say this. He is a physical corner.
Mm-hmm.
Like he does try to maintain that level of physicality, which I think that's something the Packers really, really, really want in their cornerbacks right now. They want their cornerbacks to be physical, up in their face, disrupt. I mean, I know that we talked about Jeff Hafley when they hired him on. He was big on press man. Even though you play a lot of zone on the NFL level.
In Boston College, he was very press man, like cover 2 oriented, and then it changed a lot to where he would play like cover 3, cover 6 with what we had last year. I think that was just making up for like the disparity in the pass rush and everything. He had to do a lot of like stopgap stuff and getting like creative with pressures and everything.
Yeah, last year was definitely the definition of having to
adjustment year.
Yeah. I still don't think we're going to play as much man moving forward because
we'll never be a press man team. Much to my chagrin.
I know.
I would love to play press man all the time, but I don't think that our corners could survive.
Yeah, I think that's the point. But I do think that like Hafley's going to be physical with them to kind of disrupt the timing of it. You have the safeties there, which is huge, and I think that's going to be the kind of key again. I feel like we're going to have the same key every week, for the Packers.
Yeah.
Until it proves not to be a liability, and that's going to be can the cornerbacks hold up at the point of attack?
Mm-hmm. You want to get to the fun stuff?
Let's get to the fun stuff.
What's your score prediction for this game?
All right. I'm going bold here. I think that the Packers absolutely contain them. And the reason is I say that is because Hafley and Matt LaFleur specifically, Matt LaFleur knows this coach. He's like, I know you. Remember what I did to you in Dallas? That's going to happen again. I'm going to say Packers.
Does Dan Quinn call the defense? Actually, I forgot to ask this question earlier.
Yeah, I believe so.
Ooh, oh, okay.
I believe Dan Quinn does call the defense. So that is why
I might change my score prediction.
I say 32-13.
Yeah, I'm gonna go a little higher here. I'm gonna say 38-21.
Not bad. Who's your one player you think is gonna have a game? Who's your game? How about this? Who's your potential game ball on offense and then game ball on defense?
I think my game ball on offense is going to go towards Josh Jacobs. I think he's going to have a good game on the ground, which will then allow Jordan Love to do a lot of the play action stuff. I think Josh Jacobs is going to be able to run over this defense.
That was mine. You stole it, but I'll give it to you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. And then what about defense?
On defense.
And it can't be Micah Parsons.
I'm not picking Micah, don't worry. I'm going to say Devontae Wyatt.
That's
I
a
need
good
to get
one.
my defensive game ball here. You need to be able to wreak havoc on the inside of that offensive line. Get into the backfield early and often. And he'll probably, I'm going to say now, have 1.5 sacks. Maybe a forced fumble in there too.
I like it. I like that. Devontae Wyatt and like Josh Jacobs. Yeah. Mine, Josh Jacobs too. I mean, I just look at this. I look at the defensive line. I look at their aging linebackers, their defensive tackles. I'm just like, you don't scare me. And I know Dan Quinn, or I should say Matt LaFleur knows Dan Quinn. So I definitely think it's going to be a big Josh Jacobs game. And then defensively, I'm going Devontae Wyatt was my second game ball guy. I'm going
Xavier. Did I steal both yours?
No. Devontae Wyatt was my second. He was my second. If you would have picked Xavier McKinney, I was going to go Devontae Wyatt. But I'm going to say Xavier McKinney. I'm going to give Xavier McKinney my game ball prediction. And the reason is I think that is because I think the defense is going to contain Jaden Daniels.
Yeah. And they'll force him to make errant throws.
And he's not going to have Scary Terry or Debo or Zach Ertz to be able to bail him out because Xavier McKinney is going to have those areas locked down. And I think Xavier McKinney is going to get a interception. And I'm going to say I think Xavier McKinney is going to get a pick six. That's my bold prediction. At Xavier McKinney pick six against Jaden Daniels at Lambeau Field. Gets to do his Lambeau leap. I'm saving my Micah Parsons pick six prediction for the Dallas Cowboys game.
Santa Clara? Never mind.
No. That would be way cooler. Pick six to seal the Super Bowl. That'd be amazing.
I think this could also be a sneaky LVN game in the limited snaps that he would get as a power rusher against this offensive line.
That's a good sneaky pick. I would say that wide receiver wise, my kind of sneaky pick. I think Romeo is going to have a really good game under just getting underneath the defense, especially. I mean, to be entirely honest, if I had to pick a guy who I again think is going to go off, I do think Matthew Golden. Yeah. I think back-to-back weeks, Matthew Golden is going to go off for over 100 yards and a touchdown. I said, he's going to do that in the Detroit game. And I think, if there was a team where I think he could go off for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns, I think it would be against the Commanders.
Yeah, I think that they've got some physical corners who can't, with the exception of Mikey Sanders still, who aren't the fastest. So Matthew Golden will be pretty good. On that one, it just depends if Sanders still follows him all game, and in which case then I would take Romeo over Marshawn Lattimore. Even though Marshawn Lattimore has experience dealing with the bigger receivers having to play Mike Evans twice a year for the past couple of years. So
true. That is true. Here's the thing with Mikey Sandstrom. And the reason is I think it's going to be difficult for them to cover. Trey Amos doesn't have the greatest change of direction. Marshawn Lattimore, I think you have started to see him age because of his injuries, and I don't think he has the change of direction like he used to have. And then Mikey Sandstrom run almost a 4.5, and that's solid for that is solid. That's a solid 40 time. Yeah. I just don't see how people how that cornerback room holds up to Matthew Golden's ability. Like he's such a good route runner. And his speed, he just turns on a dime. I just think that's going to be a very difficult thing for them to contain. Because, I mean, I look at Mikey Santro's size. He's barely 5'10". I think he's actually just under 5'10". 182 pounds. Not a very strong guy. Is quicker. Like I said, he ran a 4.47. Solid agility, or I should say, pretty explosive. He's good agility. He's pretty good agility.
Surprisingly stout against the run for someone of his stature, though.
Yeah. And I just look at Matthew Golden and what he can do and how he can move and how he literally is the way he moves. He's the quarterback's best friend. You know what I mean? We saw that at Texas. I think we're going to see that against the Lions game. And I think he's going to take that role as wide receiver 1, which he was listed as starting wide receiver against the Detroit Lions game. I think he's going to take that role and he's never going to let go.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one.
What would you say if
this game will probably be the tone setter for the rest of the season? Like, it's like we win this game after winning the Detroit, we're on a high. We probably don't lose a game for another 3 to 4 weeks after that, past the bye. Like, we played Philly in the regular season, right?
Yes, we do. That'll be a tough game.
That's week 10?
I believe so. The Packers play. So that is in November 10th. November 10th.
Yeah, so it's week 10.
Week 10, yeah.
If we win Detroit, Washington, I do not believe we lose again until we meet Philly.
So we have that early bye week. Get healthy, make some adjustments if we need to against the Bengals. I'm not afraid of the Cardinals. I'm like, the Steelers will be a fun game, but I'm not afraid of them. I'm not afraid of the Panthers. It's kind of stinks playing like the Vikings, the Vikings and the Bears so late. Like, especially because the Vikings have a rookie quarterback and the Bears have a new coaching system there. So that's kind of a bummer, but is what it is, kind of a thing. I'd say I could see us losing to the Broncos. That's at Denver.
I don't know, Jim.
That's at Denver.
Try to do my best Tony Romo impression.
At Denver's tough. And I feel like we've always struggled at Denver. At Denver's tough. I think we beat the Eagles at home. I'm going to call it right now. All right. Before any games have been played, I'm saying this right now. This is my prediction. The road to the Super Bowl goes through Lambeau. And I think that gets proven.
Bold prediction.
After the first 4 weeks. I think we win a closer. I think we talked about that. Yeah, we talked about that last episode about the Lions. This will be episode 5, actually, because we're going to hopefully be doing a Victory Monday, or not a Victory Wednesday podcast, rehashing the Lions game. So I think we win there. I think we beat the Commanders. I think then it's just we roll. You know what I mean? We roll Packers. We roll Packers Browns. We roll there. We roll Packers at Dallas. We roll there. Bye week. Bengals. That's going to be a tough game.
The Bengals at home.
But yeah, the Bengals play at Lambeau Field.
That'll be a tough game, maybe. Like, I don't know. We'll dive deeper into that one.
Yeah, that'll be a game. I always joke about this with the Bengals. I always say they got all this stuff on offense just to lose 50-53. That's pretty much who the Bengals are. So just kind of rehash our prediction here. I predict the score will be 32-13 Packers. Game ball goes to Xavier McKinney and Josh Jacobs. I think those are the two I think Matthew Golden has another big game. And then what was your score prediction again?
38-21 in favor of the Packers. And I think the game balls go to Josh Jacobs again and Devontae Wyatt.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, hopefully we'll be celebrating another victory podcast here, victory podcast episode moving forward. Thanks for joining, and until next time.
To Packers fans coast to coast, thanks for going beyond the frozen tundra. We appreciate you tuning in. And as always, go Pack Go!